So every year around Christmas time since 1989, Hershey has had a very iconic holiday commercial that plays all throughout the season. And I figure we'll take a look at it here, even though most of you have probably seen it. But I'm trying to illustrate a point. Okay, all right, very iconic. Most people are familiar with this. There's been very different variations of the text on the bottom. The font of the text, the original font is rarely used. They've used different fonts since then. I've noticed that over the years. And the definition has obviously changed. They've remastered it. I think they've reshot it a couple times, actually, and reanimated it. And then they did this in the year 2020. I was going to say the 2020s, but it's still the 2020s as they're recording this. But they did this in 2020. All right. Now, for some of you, this isn't a big deal. And for some people, this wasn't a big deal. Some people actually did like this. A lot of people didn't. A lot of people didn't like this. And I will tell you why. First of all, I want to be very clear. It has nothing to do with the race factor here, okay? It has nothing to do with the race factor here. Although this does feel a little manipulative. It feels very manipulative, and it feels very, very pandery. And that's what I don't like about that. I'm fine with a father and a daughter doing this. Oh, by the way, where's mom? But that's the other thing, is where's mom? Where the heck is mom? Usually, especially if it's a black community, this would kind of be the reverse. I hate to be the one to say it, but that's more accurate. But whatever. I mean, that's heartwarming. I'm all for it. Father and daughter bonding. Whatever, it happens. But it's the idea that they took the original, which they've been reanimating, and they subverted the whole thing in order to do a new type advertisement. Why didn't they just make a separate advertisement? I'll tell you why. Because the mentality behind creating commercials like this is not to honor tradition. It's not to honor legacies. It's to pander to specific groups of people and to get with the times and modern audiences. It's all about the diversity, equity, and inclusion. Never mind the fact that people of all races, genders, ethnicities who grew up in America watching television, they saw this all the time. They saw the original all the time. It was beautiful. It was wonderful. I still like looking at the classic one, even though it's lower definition and everything. It's still got a classical sound to it. It's got a classical animation style. It's beautiful. I don't mind modern variations that are more HD and whatever, but this is classic. And it's just continuing that tradition as close as possible. And that is beautiful. The problem, however, and this is where I will get into the meat and potatoes of the discussion here, once I readjust my background. There we go. The problem that I have is that corporate America is getting to where they don't care. Corporations that have been around for over 100 years don't care about honoring their legacy. They don't care that their products have been passed down generation to generation. Hershey is one of those products. They care about how can we pander to specific groups of people. They were one of the ones who were making chocolate bars for International Women's Day. So they don't particularly care what you and I think. They care about how can we pander to people groups who we think we need to pander to? How can we pander to women? How can we pander to minorities? How can we basically spit all over any traditions that even those people have and just push our cultural Marxist nonsense? That's the mentality. They don't look at black people, women, and all these people who enjoyed this stuff to begin with and just say, okay, well then let's do that. They go, no. We have to pander. We have to kiss butt. And people hate it. I hate it. I'm tired of race-based pandering, gender-based pandering, sexuality-based pandering, any type of pandering. I'm tired of it. Because that's all they're doing. They don't see it as pandering. In their minds, they see it as elevating people who are oppressed. Like they are some sort of great liberators by making commercials that feature, black families or predominantly women or people who aren't straight or anything that's in vogue for the radical left or cultural Marxists. They want to elevate that. And they're taught to do so in school, by the way. And it's exhausting because these companies keep hiring these people. They build in DEI departments into their HR. And I've talked about this multiple times, and I'll keep talking about it until it stops. They build all of this stuff into their corporations, and then they put all this out there. And eventually their target audiences go, wait a second, who cares? Why are you doing this? Who cares? Can we not all like the same things? Can we not all be united in our love for the original? One of the first reactions I saw to this when I looked up this commercial for this video, for the new one, was a black chick reacting to it and getting upset. Why not just make a separate commercial? Again, it would still be pandery and a little cheesy in that sense, but I mean, it's at least somewhat heartwarming, but it's less heartwarming when you take tradition and you say, let's mess with it. Did none of these companies learn from New Coke in the 80s? Did none of them learn the lesson? Did they not take advantage of the resources of social media that have existed for over a decade now and actually ask people, what would you like to see? Put out a poll. People who follow your social media pages, what would you like to see? But of course, they don't take that seriously. They just look at that as cheap marketing. They don't actually take the feedback that they get. They just tell their people, just placate them. Because a lot of them are scumbags that run these corporations. I'm not saying that corporate America has ever been truly good, but there was a time where they had so much better PR, and they tried to craft things, especially with marketing, they tried to craft things that were relatable to people on a basic human level, and they weren't pandering to a culture war or to a cultural ideology. They were just making things that were fun. I was watching a video today talking about the history of Sesame Street, and the person, I won't name the channel, but the person who was talking about it was pointing out how early Sesame Street, what they thought was cool about it, which I thought was nauseating, was that, it broke barriers, it broke racial barriers, and, kids could finally see themselves on the screen. Little black kids could finally see themselves on the screen. Isn't that just so heartwarming? Now, it was also adults as well, because this was, the 1970s, 1960s is when they really started to predominantly feature black people in television, naturally, in a way that worked. Sanford and Sons, Jefferson, so on and so forth. But this person was going on about how, it was diverse and inclusive. They featured all sorts of different types of people. You could see yourself on TV, and that was the greatest thing. Kids don't care. I never cared. I go for 5 minutes. Oh, cool, look, a black dude. And then I forget about that, and I watch the show. But our culture is so obsessed with breaking barriers in the modern day when most barriers have been broken. It's just silly. It's just silly. I get the historical significance of what Sesame Street did, and I don't want to downplay that. But the show very quickly established itself that let's not get hung up on these artificial traits. Let's just make a show that's good for kids to watch. And now that it's been passed from PBS on to Warner Brothers Discovery, it has just gone down the tubes, just all the way. It's a terrible show now. Whoever would have thought that we would be saying Sesame Street is a terrible show, yet here we are. Now people have to pay to get it. You used to be able to get PBS for free, and you still can, but now you have to pay to get it. And it's just more corporate stupidity. It just is. Because they're doing two things. They're focusing on the modernity, embracing modernity, which they would define as DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and putting a mirror up to the audience and saying, well, these people have to see themselves. So by putting a mirror up to specific audiences, you're telling the people who don't look like that, yeah, you don't belong. Why are you here? You had your time in the spotlight, go away. That's how it's being interpreted. It's not being interpreted as this is for everybody. It's no, now it's our time in the spotlight. And that's what pisses me off about racial and gender and whatever else type of pandering. You're excluding people and then claiming to be exclusive. How stupid is that? People have caught on to this nonsense for a long time, and they're tired of it. They're walking away from more franchises. And then whenever you try to have this discussion with people who are in line with it, they try to gaslight you into thinking, oh, well, you're a racist, you're a sexist, you're a homophobe. You just don't like inclusion. You just don't like women. You just don't like people of color, quote unquote. You just don't like this or that. I'm like, you know what? I like people when they're good people, regardless of who they are. Yes, there are some people I won't associate with because they have a bad reputation. But that's who they are as a person. It has next to nothing to do with their arbitrary traits. And I don't think people should be celebrated for skin color or gender. I don't think that's worth celebrating because these are things that you're born with. That doesn't make you you. That's a part of your genetic makeup. What makes you you is your personality, your interests, the way you treat others, the way you interact with the world around you. That is what makes you you. And that is a beautiful thing when done right. When done wrong, it makes you a horrible person, and there's no excuse for that horrible behavior. But we don't operate like that anymore. We don't operate on a meritocracy where your merits determine what makes you good. It's all about artificial traits, and it's being artificially forced on the rest of us. Do you know how irritating it is for me to be a black guy and to see black people on TV and know the only reason that they're being pushed to the forefront is so that they can hold a mirror up to me and say, look how great you are? Vainly? And that they can push other people down as a result of that? Do you know how annoying that is for me? That is so irritating. It's one of the reasons why I can't stand modern advertisement, because that's all modern advertisement is. Let's hold up a mirror to specific people groups and tell everybody else to go take a hike. And it's usually done by people who are self-loathing, trying to elevate other people so they can feel less bad about themselves. It's just stupid. Tradition matters, okay? The 1989 Hershey Kiss commercial that I just showed you, that was loved by everybody. And they quickly found out that it was loved by everybody because they never asked the permission of their audience to subvert this tradition. But companies do this thing all the time. That's how we got the Bud Light disaster. Nobody asked for Dylan Mulvaney to be the spokesperson for this beer that people already liked. They didn't want advertisement that had anything to do with anything other than selling the beer. They didn't want gender ideology. They didn't want racial ideology. They just wanted, just make a commercial showing how good the beer looks and that it's cheap. That's all they were asking for. And then they brought on this woman who said, we got to do all of these different things. They keep bringing in these morons. And then when they lose them millions of dollars, they don't fire them. They give them paid administrative leave. So they never learn. There's not enough whistleblowers coming out from these companies to say why they can't get rid of these people who cost them millions of dollars and shutter these departments that clearly aren't making something that works. I say just shutter all of it. Let them cry and whine and put forward all the lawsuits they want. At the end of the day, just sell your dang product. And don't do so in a way that causes more division. I'm sick of the division in this country. I truly am. And it's just going to get worse. I'm tired of it. I lived in a time where, growing up, where there was some division, but not like this. Late 90s, early 2000s, there was some division, especially over things like the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, just different things that were going on at the time. But not like this. Most of the big battles in terms of those types of things were at Thanksgiving, which Thanksgiving was yesterday. I hope everybody had a happy Thanksgiving in 2023. But that was it. But now, thanks to social media, especially Twitter, which I am no longer on actively, everything is a massive, massive battle. Everything. And it doesn't get better. It just gets worse until people finally go, you know what, I've had enough. I'm gone. I'm gone. It's tough to build community now because you don't know what people think. You say one wrong thing in the wrong direction ideologically, and people fly off the handle. My brother was having a debate with a guy about illegal immigration, and he was making great points, and this guy just kept flying off the handle. My brother finally was like, okay, yeah, no, I'm not engaging with this anymore. It's just ridiculous that this is the mindset now. This is absolutely the mindset now, is we have to cater to people based on their arbitrary traits, and we have to pander to them, and we have to make them vain and prideful and hateful of others. That's the other thing this generation. This doesn't bring people together. They claim it's to bring people together. It just divides people. And I can't imagine the shock when they got the backlash when Hershey or whoever their ad campaign, their ad company was. I can't imagine the expression on their faces when they got all this backlash, how surprised they were, because they live in a stupid bubble. Such a stupid corporate America bubble that is intrinsically tied with these universities that are pumping out cultural Marxism and are dividing the country up and telling people, you need to tear down traditions because traditions are racist, sexist, homophobic, and bigoted. So you need to tear down all those traditions. You need to hate your family members because they're all of these horrible things that I listed. And so you send kids off to college, they come back hating the world. Fantastic. Lovely. That's why I'm glad I don't have kids. Anyways, that's the stupidity of corporate America. Nothing new. I mean, there have been different times when corporate America has been stupid for other reasons, but being involved in the culture war right now is especially stupid, taking sides when they could be bringing both sides together by just selling good products and not mentioning race, gender, ethnicity, just letting the product speak for themselves. I can't speak tonight. I can hardly speak ever. I don't know what's happening. I think the internet is destroying my brain, to be honest with you. But anyways, let me know what you think down in the comments below, because I know what I feel. You know what I feel. I've said multiple times, but I want to know what you feel. I genuinely want to know what you feel. If I disagree with you, fair enough. That's fine. Okay, I disagree with plenty of people. I just did a video on The Simpsons, and there were plenty of people I disagreed with in the comment section, but it is what it is. But I genuinely want to know, what do you think about this? Are you tired of it as I am? Are you tired of just this endless culture war that we're all sucked into and being told you need to believe something, you need to support something, whether you actually do or not for whatever reason, otherwise you're the devil? Because I'm tired of it. And I'm tired of it coming from corporate America specifically, because that's not their role. Their role is just to sell product and to unite people by selling product. Thank you very much for watching. This has been Super Koopa TV. God bless. Have a good one. Peace.